вас есть книг по-русски, это природы стих? Телефон. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishupad Paramahangsa Pravadakacharya Asadhara Satushi Shriman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribol Slava Zavrani Bhaktam Slava Shri Guru Shri Gurangi Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthayavute Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Siddharane Om Agyanativedandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Zvitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashubhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patiranam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Questions by the Sages, text number 7. Yani Veda Vidam Shresto Bhagavan Badarayana Anyecha Munayak Sutta Paravara Vido Vidu Yani Veda Vidam Shresto Bhagavan Badarayana Anyecha Munaya Sutta Paravara Vida Vidu Vidu Bhagavan Badarayana Anyecha Munaya Sutta Paravara Vidu. Ladies. Yani Veda Vidam Shresto Bhagavan Badarayana Anyecha Munaya Sutta Paravara Vidu Vidam Vidya Shresto Bhagavan Badarayana Yecha Munaya Sutta Paravara Vidu Yani Veda Vidam Shresto Bhagavan Badarayana Anyecha Munaya Sutta Paravara Vidu Yani, all that. Veda Vidam, scholars of the Vedas. Shrestha, seniormost. Bhagavan, incarnation of Godhead. Badarayana, Vyasadeva. anye, others, cha, and munaya, the sages, O Sutta, O Sutta Goswami, Paravaravida, amongst the learned scholars, one who is conversant with physical and metaphysical knowledge. Vidu, one who knows. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Being the eldest learned Vedantinists, O Sutta Goswami, you are acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Godhead. And you also know other sages who are fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentation on the Brahma Sutra, or the Badarayani Vedanta Sutras. It is called natural because Vyasadeva is the author of both, the Vedanta Sutras and Srimad Bhagavatam, or the essence of all Vedic literatures. Besides Vyasadeva, there are other sages who are the authors of 6 different philosophical systems, namely Gautama, Kanada, Kapila, Patanjali, Jaimini, and Ashtavakra. Theism is explained completely in the Vedanta Sutra, whereas in the other systems of philosophical speculations, practically no mention is given to the ultimate cause of all causes. One can sit on the Vyasa-san only after being conversant in all systems of philosophy, so that one can present fully the theistic views of the Bhagavatam, in defiance of all other systems. Srila Shukadeva Goswami was a proper teacher, and therefore the sages of Naimisharanya elevated him to the Vyasa-san. Srila Vyasadeva is designated herein as the personality of Godhead because he is an authorized, empowered incarnation. So the verse again. Yani Veda Vidam Shaisto Bhagavan Vadarayana Anye Cha Muniyak Sutta Parabara Vido Vidu. Being the eldest learned Vedantinist, O Sutta Goswami, you're acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Godhead, and you know other sages who are fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthapute Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatundeve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Siddharane. As it says in the ¿Puedes entender inglés? Traducción y computer. Pero someone here knows Spanish a little? You know, you can translate for her. Well, you can sit next, get a chair, sit next to her, and I'll speak slowly. If you want, I'll repeat something in Spanish. ¿Está bien? Okay. In the Mahabharata, it is said, in the Mahabharata, it is said.
Yeah, I have to hear you to translate.
Yeah, of course. En el Mahabharata se dice.
Usted tiene que empezar y entonces voy a traducir para ella.
Yes. The Tarka Apratishta Shutiya Vibhina Isavri Shir Yasyana Vinam Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahajano Yena Kata Sapanta. So tarka apratishta. Everyone is giving arguments. Matter of fact, this is the age of quarrel. So whatever I say, at least within people's minds, someone's going to think something different. If I say white, someone's going to think black. And if I say black, someone's going to think white. Therefore, arguments go on. And even in the Hare Krišna movement, devotees are spending their whole life arguing with each other over different subject matters. Did we go to the moon? Should we get jabbed or not? Should women become Diksha gurus? So hopefully at the time of leaving our bodies, we're not absorbed in these controversies, because they'll probably never be solved, and we have to stay here until the end of Kali Yuga discussing them. Therefore, although it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that argument is good based on philosophy, because it strengthens the mind, unfortunately, unless there is an proper attitude in the discussion, it goes on endlessly without any conclusion. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions in the 10th chapter, different types of argument. Sargam adir anantascha madhyam chavaham arjuna adhyatma vidya vidyanam vadak pravitamaham. And in the translation it says, among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, among logicians, there are different kinds of argument. Supporting one's argument with evidence that also supports the opposing side is called jalpa. Merely trying to defeat one's opponent is called vitanda, but the actual conclusion is called vada. This conclusive truth is representative of Krishna. So not every argument arrives at vada, Krishna's conclusion. Simply the happiness of defeating your opponent, which is called vitanda, is a very common type of argument nowadays. And even jalpa, which is deceptive argument. That is, it says here, supporting one's argument with arguments that also support the other side. It's called jalpa. And undoubtedly there's more different types of arguments. Still, if we're going to argue in the right way, then we should try to come to a conclusion that establishes Krishna as the supreme truth, and that devotional service is the method by which we can obtain him. But tarka apratishta shruteya vibhina. There are many, many scriptures, and as we can see, as William Blake said, a famous English writer, we both read the Bible day and night. I read black, and you read white. So in that way, the arguments go on, even in scripture. So Prabhupada writes, both in the Bhagavad Gita and also in the Nectar of Instruction, that one should accept the Bhagavad Gita in its entirety. Not that we just pick out the parts we like and we reject the parts that we don't like. As I've said before, just like in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Give up all varieties of religion. What's that? Dejar todas variedades de religión. So that they appreciate. Krishna said something valid in the Bhagavad Gita. We should give up all religiosity. They don't like the other part, where Krishna says, surrender to me. Therefore, one can find something in the scripture to support one's arguments. Even there is a scripture which glorifies Ravana as the hero of the Ramayana. And Ramachandra is the villain. Nesavari Shira Yasya Navina. And there are many sages, as mentioned here. Hay muchos sabios. Yeah. Gautama, Kanada, Kapila, Patanjali, Janmini, and Astavakra. And they all have their followers. And Vyasadeva also has his followers. And they all disagree with each other. But they're all authorized sages. And they all reveal something about the truth, but from their point of view. Now we take shelter of argument and we try to establish the truth amongst vast varieties of people. We won't be very successful. First of all, it takes too long to argue with everyone. And if you don't argue with the right people, the discussion is not Vedic or civilized, then one will not arrive at any productive result. Just like Ballavacharya, a great scholar, he was continuously defeated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in argument, and by the arguments of his devotees. Well, actually, mostly by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Finally, he got frustrated. That why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeating me all the time? Then he realized, because he was a scholar and a sincere devotee, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to diminish his pride. And therefore his goddess of learning, Saraswati, his worshipful deity, told him to surrender to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which he did, because he was sincere. Now, that's not very common. People are sincere in their arguments, really trying to find the absolute truth, because most people have come to the material world to avoid the absolute truth. To go and try and to find many saintly people in a prison is rather rare. Many of them are criminals, although they think they're all right. Now, even the different scriptures, there's Puranas in the motives of goodness, there's Puranas in the modes of passion, and there's Puranas in the mode of ignorance. And they're there to encourage people in every mode of material nature to make progress towards a higher mode of nature. The Vedas are not just written for the highest class of people, They're written for all classes of people in order to assist them in their elevation towards Krishna consciousness. For every class of persons, they have the right medicine to cure materialistic existence. And similarly, there are sages which have their followers, but ultimately they reveal something higher than to people that are following them than they would have gotten by just hearing, going on the internet or Facebook. Their subject matters are more serious. But dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam, the actual understanding of what is real dharma is hidden in the heart of a self-realized person. Now, many people will not believe there's such a thing as a self-realized person. If you go on book distribution and you tell someone, take this book, I think you'll appreciate it, you look spiritual. And then they say, yes, of course. Then you ask, what spiritual activity do you do? And they say, I play tennis. You say, I knew you were spiritual. So many people think that the best tennis players in the world are self-realized tennis players. Or any other variety of activities you may mention. Their acharyas, everyone has their acharya. Mahajano, Yena, Kata, Sapanta. And they're following their acharya. For those in the mode of ignorance, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Kamsa, Duryodhana, they're acharyas. After all, when Lord Nrsimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu, he also had to kill thousands of Hiranyakashipu's followers. Therefore, he was a leader, a Mahajan for so many demons. And in the mode of passion, people who are wealthy, who have made billions of dollars, somehow or another, that they become leaders. People go to universities to learn how to cheat people, because business means cheating. If you can convince something that's worthless is worth $100 or 100 euros, then you're considered a successful businessman. And if you make money, you're considered to be very intelligent. Prabhupada said in Bengal, one man is asking another man, are you intelligent? And in order to find out if he's intelligent or not, he checks his pocket to see if there's any money. Because if there's money in his pocket, it means he must be intelligent. And in the mode of goodness, of course, Bambi is in the mode of goodness. You know who Bambi is? Yeah. I can't think of anyone else. Maybe some philanthropist is supposed to be in the mode of goodness, or a environmentalist is supposed to be in the mode of goodness. Whatever, and people follow. Save the porcupine, or save the penguin. And they consider to be saintly people. They kill the cow while they're watching a movie. They eat the cow meat while they're watching a movie about saving the penguins. And they think they're quite elevated. And indeed, there is a whole movement headed by very rich people in the world who are advertising by the year 2030 we'll all save the earth by eating insects. So everyone has to choose a leader. Yad yad acharya shestas tad tad evetaro janaha siyat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Everyone has a leader. Now we should find out who we are going to select as a leader. So what's the qualifications of an actual leader? That's explained in the scripture, who we should follow. Now, for the most part, we don't even know ourselves. We don't even know who we are, what to speak of anyone else. If we examine our minds, how confused they are, we can only imagine everyone else's mind is probably as confused, if not more confused than ours is. Therefore, on what basis do we choose a leader? They're just a little bit less confused than we are, apparently, in some field. Or at least they have conviction that they're going in the right direction. And therefore, because people are doubtful, they're directionless. Anyone who speaks strongly, I know the way, I see everything, come and follow me, I'll save you. Don't worry, put aside, just surrender to me. Sarva dharma prajaja. Mame kam sharanam vraja. I'm your shelter. Every politician is like that. Every university professor is like that. Every athlete is like that. And even the actors and actresses are like that. You can have a good time in this world. Just imagine, like we are. We're giving you an opportunity to live in a dreamland. And you can come along with us and be happy. So by conviction, andaya tandera upigayamanas te pisha tantra urudami vara. They're blind. They have no idea who they are. If we examine these great stars in the movies that everyone is following, social media, some actress or actor sneezes and it's written about how many times he sneezed that day. But they themselves, their lives are miserable. From our point of view, their lives are abominable. And yet, for every ghostly haunted person, there's a bigger ghost that leads them. So they're blind, they don't know who they are. They don't even know the first instruction of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, that the body's changing, but the self is always the same. The soul is the same. They're absorbed in the Bali concept of life, and they're proud of it. Even they're 90 years old, they have a facelift to look like they're 85. So, but people follow them because they're blind. And they're also blind, their leader. And the result is that they simply repeat birth and death over and over again in 8,400,000 species of life. Therefore, at least we have to understand someone who knows, or at least is convinced that they're not their body, would certainly be a better person to follow than all these other blind people absorbed in the Bali concept of life. And that's these 6 sages. They're all on the platform of spiritual understanding, at least to that extent. But they disagree if there's a controller in the universe or not. Whether this is all going on by accident or whether actually there's a person behind it. And who that person is and what his qualities are. Now the Bhagavatam systematically explains that that person is Krishna. And that he's the supreme controller, he's the supreme enjoyer, and he's the supreme friend of everyone. He's not impersonal, he's not energy, he's not made out of matter, he's a supreme spiritual person. And it's in our interest to get to know him, no matter what our circumstances are. Even we're in the lower species of life, like Hanuman, or that rabbit, squirrel, whatever, who was helping Lord Ramachandra build the bridge, they were properly utilizing their energies. Bharat Maharaj became a deer, but he attended Bhagavatam class every day. So we have a much better opportunity. We can hear about Krishna, no matter what the other circumstances we may be under. And prepare, and then find out. We don't have to blindly accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we shouldn't blindly reject him either. What better conception can there be of God than the person who's the source of everything? If someone says, I'm God because I own Slovenia, well, he's certainly bigger than we are, more powerful than we are, but what good will it do to take shelter of him? He can't take Slovenia with him wherever he goes. So we, at least theoretically, what could be a greater definition of God than a person who has unlimited wealth, unlimited beauty, unlimited fame, unlimited strength, unlimited renunciation? What could be a better definition? So even we don't know if Krishna is God, we don't know his opulence, but the Bhagavatam gives us an opportunity to at least understand theoretically, put into practice, and then see what the result is. And if we can't understand any philosophy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so kind, he's just allowing us to chant Hare Krishna. Anyone can chant Hare Krishna and get to know Krishna just by chanting Hare Krishna. Get to know Krishna just by chanting Hare Krishna. Now you chant other people's names, you don't get to know them. If you chant Mickey Mouse, you don't get any closer to Mickey Mouse. We may remember Mickey Mouse, but we don't get any deeper relationship with him. But if we chant Hare Krishna, even we don't chant properly, at least we'll gradually realize that it's something we can keep on chanting and we don't get tired of. Otherwise, how is it that we're in this temple room every day, many of us, chanting Hare Krishna? Even we don't come one day, we still get prasadam. So we're not being forced. Come and chant some meaningless sounds for 2 hours or whatever. Now, if we were at the Mickey Mouse Club, Club Mickey, at the Club Mickey, quando yo estaba niño, había un club, se llama Mickey Mouse, Mickey Raton Club. No, let's try to chant Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. 16 rounds. And then if you do that every day for long enough, we initiate you into the Mickey Mouse Club. But no one can do it. Because it's not spiritual, it's material. So even we don't know that Krishna is God, still we have experienced that he's something special. If you chant my name, I doubt whether you're going to be able to do that for 16 rounds. Because my name, we all have spiritual names. But my karmi name. Therefore, some faith has to be there, that this is different. And it's different in a way that has some hope at the end of the line. Otherwise, everyone else is just working hard to maintain their body as long as they can, grow old, and then die. And they don't know where they're going. Just laboring uselessly, laboring to maintain this body which is causing so much difficulty, because we think that's all there is. So that's called ignorance. At least we know we have something that people can repeat, and if they do it properly, it only gets better. Therefore, and Bhagavatam explains to us about who these personalities are, who Krishna is, who Lord Rama is when we chant Hari Ram. Even when we chant Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Still, it's spiritual, because they're devotees of Krishna. Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha. And they tell us what these persons are like, and what their lives are like, and what our lives can be like if we follow them. So these are the people we want to follow as Mahajans. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Prahlada, Kapila, Manu, Janaka, Swayambhura, Narada, Shambhu, Prahlada, Janaka, anyway, Swayambhura, Narada, Shambhu, Prahlada, Janaka. There are 12 Mahajans we're supposed to follow. So we follow any one of them, they lead us to an incarnation of Krishna, mentioned in the Bhagavatam, and we'll see what the happy result is. And if we follow anyone else in this world, we'll also find out what the result is. We'll also become just as frustrated as they are at the time of death, when the only thing they have left to bring with them is their karma, nothing else. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the lecture. You said that if we follow someone who says that we are not this body, that is still better than to follow someone who tells us otherwise, that we are this body. But I was thinking, like, sometimes there are so many in these Mayavadis that I was also before got to know devotees I was listening to, and sometimes is this also better than following like something else?
Brahman realization is better than living as a rat in the gutter. It's not the goal. Of course, Mayavadis are on a different category. I don't know, even if they realize they're not their body, I don't know how much realization Krishna will give them, because they're against God who gives all the realizations. We're talking about impersonalists mentioned here. Of course, some of them may have that tendency towards Mayavada, but Buddha's not mentioned here. They're all impersonalists, or materialists also mentioned. But an impersonalist, they don't reject Krishna as being God. They just think or spiritual, they think there's something higher than Krishna, that's all. At least they're Brahman realized. We're going towards Brahman realization. But most of the personalities nowadays who are preaching spiritual wisdom are actually against Krishna. So we don't associate with them.
So this is worse than being a rat?
Being a rat in the gutter?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a choice you have to make.
Thank you.
Yes.
So the 6 sages that were mentioned in that purport, one of them being Patanjali, who I guess is the founder of the yoga system, or, well, I guess Lord Shiva is, but there's some line of yoga there, right? So can devotees use some kind of teachings from these other sages, dovetail it with Krishna consciousness?
Dovetail in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, like for example, we maintain our bodies for Krishna service. So
Patanjali didn't talk about the exercise. They're in the Patanjali Sutras, the Yoga Sutras. There's only 2 slokas about exercise. That you should sit in a posture that's comfortable and which is stable. That's all it says. There's nothing about how to do exercise. And most of the exercise that's propagated as yoga nowadays is coming from the Christians. But it's not in the Bible. It's coming from the YMCA, the Christians, Young Men's Christian Association. Because they saw everyone was lazy, they didn't do any exercise. So they established calisthenics. People should do calisthenics. You know what calisthenics is? And then other yogis came along, so-called yogis came along, and introduced other kinds of exercises coming from Sweden. Contortionism. That's the popular kind of yoga nowadays, putting your leg behind your neck and you're a little closer to the spiritual world that way. At least your foot is elevated. But that doesn't come from any scripture. It comes from the contortionists, both in Sweden and in India, the fakers, who got money for doing that. And that goes on the name of yoga. That's not yoga. Patanjali talks about yama and niyama, astanga yoga, but not about exercise so much. Just a little bit about asana, how to sit in asanas. So the real Patanjali yoga system is when you sit down and chant japa every day. Then you're following the Yoga Sutras. Anything else? Yes. Громко. Okay.
Okay. Вы перечисляли 6 качеств Кришны. Можете объяснить или глубже раскрыть качество Кришны отреченность?
You were talking about 6 qualities of Krishna. Can you please say more about
What's the word in Russian? Отреченность. Bogdenstva. What's the word? I can't hear.
6 opulences of Krishna, and one of them he is the most powerful. Yeah, can you tell them? He's most powerful, most beautiful.
Wise, most intelligent, most knowledgeable, most renounced.
Exactly.
Renounced. Well, Krishna owns everything. But he uses everything for the service of his devotees. He's not attached to anything. He's only attached to making his devotees happy. So all his opulences, everything he has is simply to make his devotees happy. So that's called renunciation. Okay. Hvala Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.